You know, it's the ultimate paradox of achievement, isn't it? We work
Mm,
so hard to make a skill automatic to get that effortless fluency,
yeah,
and then that very automaticity is what ends up holding us back.
it sets this really cunning trap, but it's a necessary one. You have to build that foundation.
What do you mean necessary?
Well, think about any complex skill, like chess.
Mm.
You can only start thinking about high-level strategy.
Once the basics are completely internalized.
Exactly. You can't worry 5 moves ahead if you're still struggling to remember how a bishop moves. Habits, they free up that essential mental space.
And that freedom is everything. The goal is to do the simple stuff without thinking, so your mind is free for the advanced details.
That's it. Habits become the backbone of any kind of excellence.
But where's the trade-off? At what point does that fluency start working against you?
It happens the second a skill crosses what you could call the habit line. At first, repetition is great. You see rapid improvement, you get faster, smoother, but once it's fully automatic,
Mm.
you just become less sensitive to feedback.
You fall into mindless repetition.
That's the phrase. You start letting tiny mistakes slide because, hey, your performance is already good enough, right? It's all on autopilot.
So we stop actively trying to improve just because the current level is acceptable. We assume that just by doing it more, we're automatically getting better.
And that's the lie we tell ourselves. It really is. In reality, you're just reinforcing your current habits.
Which is not the same as improving them.
Not at all. You're just cementing your mediocrity.
Yeah.
There's even some research suggesting that once a skill is truly mastered and becomes rote, your performance can actually start to decline just a little over time
Why?
because you stop paying attention to the small stuff, the little errors you could be fixing.
Okay, but to be fair, for some things in life, good enough really is good enough.
Of course.
I don't need a whole system to optimize how I tie my shoes or,
Yeah.
make my morning tea.
Right. Those are energy-saving habits.
Yeah.
They let you save your brain power for what really matters.
But when we're talking about habits aimed at elite performance, that's a different game.
A totally different game. That's when you have to shift your mindset. Just repeating the same actions blindly, even if they're basically sound actions, will never make you exceptional.
So habits are necessary.
But not sufficient.
Okay, so if habits are the engine, what's the navigation system that stops us from just idling in place?
The system, the formula,
Mm.
is actually pretty straightforward. It's just hard to execute.
And it is.
Habits plus deliberate practice equals mastery.
Deliberate practice. Let's focus on that term because everyone practices, right? What makes it deliberate?
It's the difference between mindless and mindful. Simple repetition is just going through the motions. Deliberate practice is focused, it's uncomfortable, and it's guided by really specific, immediate feedback.
So it's not about doing something 1,000 times.
No, it's about doing the hard part, the thing you're bad at 1,000 times, with this radical focus. It means you're always operating right at the edge of your abilities. You never let yourself get comfortable.
That really reframes practice entirely. It's not a checkbox on a to-do list. It's a state of being completely engaged in uncomfortable growth.
Exactly. Take a basketball player. The habit is dribbling without thinking.
Right.
The deliberate practice is isolating a weakness, let's say layups with their non-dominant hand, and just running drills on that one thing until it's also internalized.
Mm-hmm.
Then that becomes the new foundation.
Or surgeon, the first incision, the initial steps, that has to be effortless. That's the habit.
Mm-hmm.
But the deliberate practice is studying and preparing for the hundreds of things that could go wrong during a complex surgery. The habit frees them up for that high-level problem solving.
And that's the cycle of growth. It's endless. You narrow your focus, you internalize some tiny element until it's a habit, and then you use that new habit as the foundation to tackle the next, even harder challenge.
So the old tasks get easier, but the overall work never really does.
Never. Because you're always pushing at that frontier.
But operating at the frontier means you're going to make mistakes. And that's where the trap of complacency comes back in. The moment a skill feels easy, we need an antidote, right? Something to stop us from just stopping.
That moment of comfort is the most dangerous one. Because if you don't have a system for reflection and review, you start to rationalize. You make excuses.
You lie to yourself. You convince yourself you're doing better than you were 6 months ago, even if you have no data.
You just assume the current path is fine. That's why you need a system.
And there's a really powerful, high-stakes example of what that kind of systemic reflection looks like in the real world.
Oh, yeah. There is no better example than Pat Riley's Career Best Effort Program, the CBE, that he set up with the Los Angeles Lakers. It was a perfect response to that performance plateau in an elite setting.
So set the stage for us. This was a team that was already great, but something was off.
They were astoundingly talented. But this was the mid-'80s, and they kept stumbling in the playoffs after these brilliant regular seasons. Riley just got tired of seeing players peak and then a caustic.
It's gradual fade over a long season.
Exactly. He wanted to build a system for continuous improvement. So in 1986, he created CBE.
And it was all based on obsessive data tracking.
Totally. His staff tracked every major stat for every player, going all the way back to their high school careers.
They called it taking their number.
Yeah, to establish a realistic baseline of what each guy was truly capable of.
And the goal he set was just, it was so small, it was brilliant. He asked each player to improve their output by just 1% over the season.
Just 1%. If they did that, it was a career best effort.
That tiny, measurable goal must have made it so much less intimidating. It wasn't about being perfect, just about being a little better.
Right, but the true genius of the system wasn't just the small number. It was that Riley understood that performance isn't just about points and rebounds.
The unsung hero deeds.
The unsung hero deeds. Things that don't show up in a normal box score. Mental, physical, even spiritual contributions.
Like diving for a loose ball or helping the teammate who got beat on defense.
Exactly, taking a charge. They made the invisible, vital stuff visible and trackable.
Let's actually walk through the math so people can see how rigorous it was. Let's use Magic Johnson as the example.
Okay.
So say in one game, he gets 11 points, 8 rebounds, 12 assists, 2 steals, and he gets 1 point for an unsung hero deed. Add that all up, you get 34 positive points.
Right. Now you subtract the negatives. Turnovers, for instance.
Yeah.
So if Magic had 5 turnovers, you subtract 5 from 34.
Leaving him with 29.
And here's the key part. It's about effort over time. So they divide that 29 by the number of minutes he played. Let's say it was 33 minutes.
So 29 divided by 33 is 0.879.
That was his CBE number for that one game. And they tracked it every single night. Compared it to his baseline, to last year, to last week. Relentless.
And the result is, you can't argue with it. They rolled out CBE in October '86, and then won back-to-back NBA championships in '87 and '88.
The first team to do that in 20 years. It's just proof that structured reflection works. It stops that passive decline of great habits.
It shows that if you want to be exceptional, you can't just outsource the analysis of your own performance. And that's a universal principle.
Absolutely. It's not just for pro sports.
So where else do we see this kind of deliberate reflection?
Well, look at elite endurance athletes. Eliud Kipchoge, the marathoner, takes notes after every single practice.
Wow, everyone.
Every single one. Looking for micro adjustments. Or the swimmer, Katie Ledecky. She records her wellness on a scale of 1 to 10, sleep, nutrition, and shares it with her coach every week.
They're turning self-awareness into data.
That's it. But it's not just quantitative. Think about creative fields. The comedian Chris Rock, when he's developing a new special, he'll go to these tiny clubs.
Right, with a notepad.
With a notepad on stage.
Uh-huh.
And he's testing hundreds of jokes, literally tracking what gets a laugh and what doesn't. The few bits that survive that brutal process become the backbone of his tour.
And in business.
Executives and investors use something called a decision journal. They write down a big choice they're about to make, why they're making it, and what they expect to happen.
And then they review it later.
Months later, yeah. To see if their reasoning was sound or if their thinking habits led them astray. It fine-tunes the decision-making process itself.
So for you listening at home, you don't need a whole team of analysts, but you do need some structure. And we suggest really 2 main ways to do this.
The first is what we call the annual review. You do it near the end of the year, say in December. This is mostly a quantitative check.
How many workouts did I do? How many projects did I finish?
Right, it's about outward performance. And you ask 3 simple questions.
1, what went well this year? 2, what didn't go so well this year? And 3, what did I learn?
Simple. Then the second one, which you do mid-year, maybe in the summer, is the integrity report.
This one is deeper.
Much deeper. It's not about metrics, it's about your identity. Are you aligned with your core values?
This is where you hold yourself accountable to the person you claim you want to be. The questions here are a bit different.
They are.
1, what are the core values that drive my life and work? 2, how am I living and working with integrity right now? And 3, how can I set a higher standard in the future?
Just doing those 2 reports, which might only take a few hours a year, it stops that gradual slide. It forces you to get some perspective.
It's like if you're always worrying about every tiny choice, it's like looking in a mirror an inch from your face.
Too much feedback. You lose the big picture.
And if you never review, it's like never looking in a mirror at all.
Way too little feedback. Periodic reflection is that perfect conversational distance. You see the important changes without getting lost in the weeds. You see the whole mountain range, not just the pebble at your feet.
Which brings us to what might be the hardest challenge in all of this. The biggest roadblock is internal. It's identity.
Mm.
We start a habit to build an identity where I write every day, so I am a writer. But then that very identity creates a new problem: pride.
And that pride, that attachment to who you are now, makes you deny your own weak spots. You resist anything that threatens that label you worked so hard to build.
It's the veteran manager who says, "We've always done it this way."
Exactly. The tighter you cling to an identity that's based on past success, the harder it is to grow beyond it.
You become brittle, inflexible,
Hey,
which
come
is
on.
why that phrase from the investor Paul Graham is so useful.
Keep your identity small.
What does that actually mean in practice?
It means don't wrap your entire sense of self up in one single finite role. The star athlete, the CEO, the whatever.
Because if you lose that one thing,
It shatters you. We see it all the time with retired athletes or veterans transitioning out of the military. They lose the role and they feel like they've lost themselves. It's a full-blown identity crisis.
so what's the tool to mitigate that? How do you keep your identity small?
You redefine who you are based on flexible values and qualities, not on rigid specific roles.
So instead of "I'm an athlete,"
You say, I'm the type of person who is mentally tough and loves a physical challenge.
I see. So that quality, mental toughness can be applied anywhere.
To running a marathon, leading a company, getting through a tough time, it's adaptable.
Or instead of "I'm the CEO of this company," it's
I'm the type of person who builds and creates things. When your identity is based on values, it flows with change instead of standing rigidly against it.
There's that great line from the Tao Te Ching that captures this perfectly.
The hard and stiff will be broken. The soft and supple will prevail. Life is always changing. Markets, careers, our bodies. So your habits and beliefs have to be checked all the time.
Yeah.
Are they still serving the person you want to become? Or just reinforcing the person you used to be?
Because if your structure is too rigid when the pressure comes.
You break.
So we started with this core tension. Habits are vital for efficiency, for saving mental energy. But that efficiency on its own is just a slow slide into mediocrity. And reflection is the only tool that makes sure your systems and you yourself are actually improving, not just repeating.
A lack of self-awareness is just poison for growth. And reflection and review is the only real antidote.
So for you listening right now, maybe think about this. Identify one area of your life where a past success has created a really rigid identity for you. What is the one belief or the one old habit that might be holding you back from whatever that next challenge is?
Because if you can find that rigid structure, the part of you that might break under pressure, that's where you can start the real work of softening it.